good morning, virtually Buddha, and if anyone is following this series, I am about to tell you the next part. So I committed myself 1000% to practicing Buddhism as a member of the Soka Gakkai International, and I officially joined the organisation as soon as it was possible, which was pretty quickly. Now, it so happened that I was joining the organisation of Soka Gakkai International as it was breaking away from its parent organisation, Nichiren Shoshu. Well, they weren't breaking away. They got excommunicated by the Nichiren Shoshu priesthood, which on the surface of it seemed very odd, because the Soka Gakkai lay membership was global, massive, and was generating large amounts of cash for the Nichiren Shoshu priesthood, so that the Nichiren Shoshu priesthood would then excommunicate them, all seemed very odd. But obviously I didn't understand any of this at the time, because all I knew was that chanting was having a positive effect on my life, and I wanted to do it more. So when I was told about the fact that it was a lay organisation without a priesthood, and I perceived that as a positive thing. I didn't have any need for priests in my life, though I did have a need for practicing Buddhism, and I liked the idea that was presented to me of a flat organisation, which is what Soka Gakkai was promoting itself at the time. And so I felt I'd found not only a religious vehicle that I could practice in, but also an organisation that manifested politically a modus operandi that I liked and felt was functional and forward-moving, not oppressive. So I joined the organisation. At the time, it wasn't possible to receive the organisational religious objects because the priests had a monopoly on that. But I didn't care. I didn't care about any of it. All I cared about was that I could chant and that I was improving my life. And so during this time, maybe a 5-year period, my life changed radically. I moved back to London from where I was living in Cambridge. I terminated a very problematic relationship, started another one, which seemed great on the surface of things, and began to stabilise my very, very chaotic existence. And there wasn't anything else in my life that I could attribute it to other than the chanting. There really wasn't. I struggled on a number of levels with life in general, and my practice of Buddhism really helped me to make sense of it all, be less mad, manage my relationships slightly better, not that much better, but it was a work in progress. And added to that, I was very, very attracted to the diversity of the Soka Gakkai. I was really impressed to see just the whole world represented in this organisation, and women taking a strong, direct part. The organisation was large, I think 70% female, and even though the heads of the organisation were still male, I felt that it was at least a step in the right direction. So I was really, really proud of my membership, because it was explained to me that regardless of one's organisational role, all members were equal, and that we were all members together, and we were all equal within the Soka Gakkai, though obviously we had differing responsibilities, which all seemed very reasonable to me. And all I wanted to do was practice. I went to every meeting that I could. I joined in with everything that I could. I studied a lot. I probably bored all my friends shitless. And I made the children go to meetings and do all the children's activities. And I became more and more functional and achieved all kinds of things that I'd never imagined I would be able to do. So I felt that my commitment to the Soka Gakkai was non-negotiable, that my practice of Nam-myoho Renge Kyo was as strong as I could make it, and the years passed, and slowly, gradually, I began to feel like I actually had a handle on life and could depend, and still do depend, completely and utterly on Nam-myoho Renge Kyo. So, having lived in London for 5 years, after moving back to Cambridge, into a flat that I'd chanted for, my family, having got bigger, was really overcrowded in a small flat, and the marriage that I had got into, which had been great to start with, was a fucking disaster. And it was just terrible. And I was being abused. And I was also very covert about this fact, in an odd sort of a way. And I really felt that I could change anything, because my practice of Nam-myoho Renge Kyo had been so effective up to that point. And in the Soka Gakkai, you have this thing called guidance, where you go to somebody and they tell you how to apply Buddhism to the practical problems in your life. And the advice that I was repeatedly given was that you could change anything. So I stuck with the marriage, because I thought I can change this. And well, life progressed, and I achieved loads of things. I managed to get funding to educate my sons privately. I got a fine art degree from Central St Martin's. I was performing comedy and poetry around the place. I was never very financially successful. I'm still not. It's a whole issue that I've got still dealing with. But anyway, life progressed. The children grew up. And my marriage reached the point where I couldn't do it anymore. My partner did actually eventually join the Soka Gakkai and start practicing. And which was great. And he also experienced actual proof. However, he didn't deal with the violence issue. So by the time it came to 1992, no, not 1992, by the time it came to 2005, the marriage was as good as over. And I was rehoused into a 4-bedroomed house, which I still live in, which was and is like the dream house of the century. I used to call it my Kosen Rufu house, but I chanted like a motherfucker for 13 years for this house, and here I sit. The husband didn't come with to start with, but then I took him back and threw him out, and took him back and threw him out, and played this ridiculous on-off relationship game. And that was when I actually accepted a responsibility within the organisation. And, well, I suppose that's a good place to stop, isn't it? When I transitioned from being just an ordinary member to being a leader. And I felt very validated and encouraged by that. And I'll come back to that another time.